Hello, everyone. This is Lisa from Power Wheelchairs for Success. And today we are going to talk about who would use a manual wheelchair or who would use a power wheelchair. And the people who usually use a manual wheelchair would be those who don't have high levels of pain, obviously, and have strength in their upper body or sufficient strength in their upper body to be able to propel. Now, there are some people who are quadriplegic, and the therapist really wants them to strengthen or keep their upper bodies strong. So they recommend a manual. To me, that's a little strange, but I'm sure that there are more explanations about that, and I will certainly find links and put them down in the description. But those are the people who would use a manual wheelchair. Someone who has an illness or a condition or an injury that does not allow them to walk at all or very little, and they would use a manual wheelchair. And they have the ability to propel. For people who use power wheelchairs are those who have high levels of pain, do not have very good control of the upper body, are not able to propel, or would injure themselves further if they propelled. So the recommendation for a power wheelchair happens in that case. Let's see, what else? So, yeah, for power wheelchairs, also, it is for people with an illness or an injury in which they would use a power wheelchair. A lot of manual wheelchairs are prescribed more so than power wheelchairs, but that seems to be in the balance right now. So some people just, their shoulders wear out after a while of using the manual wheelchair. So they can add things to their manual wheelchairs to help them in the propelling or reduce the propelling and keep their manual wheelchair. So there are wheels that have batteries on them and can help with the propelling, or there's an attachment of a extra wheel that can snap on to your back underneath your manual wheelchair and also help you propel. So it takes some heaviness and gives some relief to propelling. And it's called eAssist. So if you look up eAssist, I will also add links to that. They are costly. I don't know of an insurance that covers them, but they might start covering them. There might be insurance companies that understand the issue of the shoulders and problems with hands, that they like their manual wheelchair, but they're having difficulty in propelling. So that is something that the insurance might help with. But otherwise, those attachments are expensive. So be aware. I think that the one wheel that attaches underneath the manual wheelchair is like 5,000, 6,000. And I have no idea. I'll look it up for the battery run wheels for the manual wheelchairs and how much those cost. Power wheelchairs, of course, cost about $3,000 on up, depending on the type of power wheelchairs that they require, because there is the basic power wheelchair and there is the complex power wheelchairs, which have a lot of additions and a lot of tools for that person to be in the right position and to be able to handle the chair themselves most of the time. So there are complex power wheelchairs that have a joystick in the back so that the caregiver can assist with the driving of the power wheelchair. So now, despite the usage of a power wheelchair or a manual wheelchair, can a person switch and go from power wheelchair to manual wheelchair? And can a person in a manual wheelchair be switched over to a power wheelchair. Now, anything is possible. For me, because of transportation issues, I am requesting and saving up pennies to invest in a manual wheelchair, one that I can take the wheels off and just throw it in the back seat or in the trunk of the car, just so I have more options and freedom to get out there and do what I need to do. Would I switch 100% over to a manual wheelchair? I would not be able to due to muscle issues and levels of pain. So I would not be using a manual wheelchair full time. Not possible. Can a person in a manual wheelchair switch over to a power wheelchair? And the answer is yes. Depending on the condition and how they're doing physically, the therapist, when it's time to upgrade that manual wheelchair, might recommend, depending on the condition of the patient, recommend that they continue with the power wheelchair. So yes, we can switch back and forth. And sometimes people do invest in a secondhand manual wheelchair or a secondhand power wheelchair due to increased pain or due to increase of conditions. So that is possible to go one from the other. So I just wanted to add that there so that you are aware that you could go back and forth depending on your needs. All right, so that answered the questions of who uses a manual wheelchair and who uses a power wheelchair. So for today, thank you for coming. Thank you for being on our channel. And all of you, stay safe.